Okay, so a few days ago, this random poll that I had scheduled a few months back on my channel, as I tend to do on occasion, came up, and I wanted to talk about it because it was kind of confusing to me. I didn't particularly understand the results. So the poll posed the following question: if you could only either have new or updated ranked or co-op modes, or new and or additional customization options in Splatoon 4, which would you rather pick? And to my surprise, a large number of folks said they would prefer new customization options over new game modes. As you can see here, when I checked the poll before starting to make this video, the ratio was 35% ranked modes to 65% customization options. At the beginning of the poll, it was more like 90-10 or 80-20. It's gone down to about what it is now over the last few days, and I find that interesting as well. But either way, those are the results. 35-65 after 5 days. I'd say that's a pretty reasonable amount of time to have waited. And to me, I find that very interesting because I'm more of a strong believer that the game already has plenty of customization options, especially when you consider the fact that there were no new ranked modes added or pretty much anything PvP or PvE related. So I wanted to take a few minutes to go through the comments under the poll, see what folks had to say as to why they would prefer new customization options, and then try to go over my own reasoning for why I would prefer more game modes over customization options in the next game. So with that, let's head to the comments section and see what y'all have to say. Alright, Sylvia says, as much as I'd love the sprinkler tower from Side Order to become a new 5th mode, new customization could be the most peak thing ever if there's enough of it. Okay, so two things here. First of all, I'd probably be more in favor of them replacing tower control with the sprinkler tower from Side Order. Yeah, I know I've said I hate Side Order, but I actually kind of like what they did with tower control and Side Order there. It actually kind of makes sense because you actually have to pay attention to the objective instead of just sitting on a tower mindlessly letting it drive by, getting points for you as you're just sitting there. I think Sprinkler Tower as a replacement for tower control would actually be a pretty good substitution there. I'd like to see that in the next game. But the second part about customization being the most peak thing ever, see, I'd probably be in the same boat with you on thinking customization would be a good thing to add to the game if it weren't for the fact that Splatoon 3 already added so many different customization options and hardly anything gameplay-wise. So they added the Squid Roll and the Squid Surge, but that's not really a new mode or anything. You can throw the eggs in Salmon Run, but it's still Salmon Run after all. So in my opinion, it seems like they spent way too long on the various customization options that they did give us and not enough time on designing new game modes or gameplay options. So for them to just turn around and do that again on the next game would be even more of a disappointment in my opinion. But that's just how I see it. Alright, next up, Alavi says, I've seen a lot of people suggest stuff like a 4th gear piece with abilities and such, but what I want is stuff like more purely cosmetic accessories like pants. Yeah, I've heard a lot of speculation from Chera and some higher up folks talking about what adding a 4th gear piece could potentially do to the game's balance as far as how strong the chunks might end up being. They'd probably have to weaken the effects of a single chunk so that you could add more and still be able to get about the same amount of power out of each of them, while maybe making them cheaper to put on your gear. But then again, trying to figure the balancing of all that out might take more time away from them being able to make new gameplay options. So whether I would want that or not would be dependent on them removing other potential material from the game. And honestly, that'd be my thought on the rest of the comment as well. Like, yeah, I'd be all for adding freckles and stuff like that to the game in order to better customize your character to you. But at the end of the day, unless they're going to have a really long development cycle for Splatoon 4, anything they add customization-wise is just going to take away from their ability to add additional gameplay elements. Now granted, the people they have working on the gameplay elements might not necessarily be the same folks working on the customization stuff, but I guess that would just be a matter of how many people they got working on it and how long they end up giving them to do it. Okay, next we have Random Small Fry who says, Nintendo add more customization options and my soul is yours. Okay, first of all, Small Fry, I'll just go ahead and say that Nintendo's probably one of the worst folks you could sell your soul to, but that's beside the point. I'd probably turn you into one of those Nintendo ninjas or something, but I digress. To each his own. Okay, so the next ones are kind of similar, so I'm going to do them all together. Dumpster Fire says, I personally hate Clam Blitz with a burning passion and want it deleted from existence. Pea Shooter says, why would people want Clam Blitz back in the game? And Fight Manix says, anything but Clam Blitz. If you'll excuse me for a second, I gotta go wash out my mouth with soap after having said such vile comments. Anyway, where was I? So I can't exactly agree with these, given that Clam Blitz is my favorite mode in the game. As an aside, if y'all had said zones, I'd be on board. However, I guess I get the sentiment. There's a large amount of the community that doesn't like Clam Blitz for some reason. So for just some random new mode that you don't like to end up being the new ranked mode that they add to the game, I could see how that could upset some folks. Like, for example, if they just added zones, if zones were the new mode that they had added instead, that might have upset me. But in my opinion, after having gone all these years and not having had a single new game mode added to the game, like, I'm just gonna be real, playing the same game modes over and over again, it does get old, especially after 3,000 hours over 6 years. So even if they did come out with a 5th ranked mode and it wasn't particularly my favorite, I still think I would prefer it over not having any new game modes to play over the lifespan of yet another game. But again, I suppose that's just me. And then we got Durry Gathan, who simply says, customization, easily, more personality. And I suppose what Durry here says probably summarizes the antithesis of my view. See, when I play Splatoon 3, I've got the certain customization options that I picked way back at the beginning of the game, with all my different various gear chunks on them and all this stuff that I like. And I haven't really changed or deviated all that much from that. Occasionally when I make a new kit, I'll make a new gear set, obviously. But other than that, I really don't ever change my gear around or anything. To me, I would say how I feel about lockers best summarizes how I feel about customization as a whole. The lockers are there, they're fine, they're cool to look at on occasion. I put all my stuff in it that I wanted. I've only changed it out once since the beginning of the game's life cycle. And I haven't really thought about it or considered it since then, really. See, to me, the main draw of the game is what keeps me playing for those 3,000 hours, and to me, that is the gameplay itself. The modes, how fun they are, the salmon run, how fun it is to play with friends and folks. And see, when you're playing the game in the heat of the battle, you don't really consider your customization options. You don't really care how you look. For one thing, you can't even see how you look because you're just always looking at your back. And even then, you don't really have time to stop and appreciate it. Yeah, for me, customization options are most definitely not the strongest draw of this game. As a matter of fact, if I wanted to own like a game solely dedicated to customization options, if I'm being honest, that's probably what Animal Crossing is, and I got no interest at all in Animal Crossing whatsoever. See, to me, the fun aspects of Splatoon are having fun playing the game itself, getting better in my skills, playing with my friends, all this good stuff. Extremely rarely do I take the time to appreciate the customization options. It's cool they're there, but I don't really pay attention to them all that much, and as such, they don't really seem to be a draw for me to keep playing the game. See, and to me, that's the linchpin as to why I would much rather prefer a new ranked mode over new customization options. See, like in Splatoon 3, they didn't even add anything new gameplay-wise. There's only a couple things that I even think justify the game's existence in the first place. The squid roll and the egg throw in Salmon Run, I suppose. Like, other than that, all these customization options don't really mean anything to me, and they most certainly do not justify Splatoon 3's existence. If anything, I'd have been fine with just Splatoon 2 updated, continuing on. So for me to have to consider the idea that they're just gonna do the same thing again in Splatoon 4, add a bunch of customization options and no new ranked modes, that would be really bad. Like, I already consider Splatoon 3 my least favorite of the Splatoon games. I could imagine if they repeat the same mistake in Splatoon 4, then I might even consider that one to be the worst. And hey, I'm not even saying to just don't add new customization options. I mean, come on, I'm not a monster. I'm just saying there needs to be some sort of a compromise, a balance between the customization options and the new gameplay features. Like, hey, take what Splatoon 2 did, for example. Not only did they add all these new hairstyles and leg wear and come out with the Octolings, but they also came up with Clam Blitz, they came up with Salmon Run, they came up with all these new weapons. Like, to me, it just doesn't seem equivalent. Like, it seems like Splatoon 2, which had way less time for development, by the way, had a whole lot more customization options added to it than Splatoon 3 did. Splatoon 3, they went heavily into customization and forsook the gameplay. The next game, they need to at least try to balance it out a little bit. If they need to take a little extra longer to spice the game up, give it some more customization options, then by all means, take all the time you need. Let it come out in, 2026 or 2027 or whatever, how long it takes, I don't care. I just don't want another 3, 4, 5 years of being stuck in effectively the same game with just a couple extra new mechanics. But we got all these new customization options that I don't really care about. But then again, that's just my opinion. Maybe I'm a bit harsh on the game, but hey, that just means I like the game. I mean, I did put 3,000 hours into it after all. I just want it to be the best game it can be, I suppose. But regardless of my opinions, what do y'all think? You think I'm right, wrong, crazy, harsh, out of line? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Or feel free to dislike it. I imagine this is a somewhat controversial opinions, but hey, that's how it goes. And with that, I'll see y'all next time. Take care.